Well, tonight on the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, the mainstream media is always out here talking about misinformation, disinformation. You know, the Democrats love to say that. That's their favorite two words when anybody criticizes them. They say people putting out misinformation, but yet they don't show what the misinformation is, so someone could correct it, right? But the mainstream media, ever since Vice President Kamala Harris have got into the race, they have been all working overtime to create a positive narrative around Vice President Kamala Harris. Now, a lot of the media companies have donated to her campaign, so they have something to gain by doing that. But I want you to see what they have been doing. Literally, they have been caught. Now, from saying that she didn't lock up parents to saying that she wasn't you say, hey, she was the border czar. She's the reason why all the immigrants are over here. They didn't check the immigrants. Now you got a Venezuelan gang terrorizing American citizens. She wasn't over the border. Y'all putting out disinformation. No, the only ones who putting out disinformation is the mainstream media. And let's go ahead and roll that so you could actually see the actual disinformation they're putting out.
One of the programs that she started on truancy, which is what a lot of people have been hitting my Twitter feed about, how, you know, that program, from their criticism is it separated black children from their families. Mm-hmm. She talks about the fact that, you know, yeah, there were a lot of tough decisions that were made, but I stand by them. She's going to have to talk about that more fully. Kamala Harris never sent parents to jail for their kids' truancy.
Quote unquote border czar. Vice President Harris was not a border czar.
Meantime, Vice President and border czar Kamala Harris facing some backlash.
What he said about Harris and immigration was not true. She was never appointed border czar.
And this will be her first visit to the U.S.-Mexico border region since she was appointed as the border czar by President Biden.
People gonna have to counter the misinformation. You already hear folks talking about the border czar. She wasn't the border czar.
President Biden tapped Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, to be the border czar.
Now, she wasn't the border czar. That's what Republicans labeled her.
They were very critical of Kamala Harris, especially in her role as border czar.
Now what she's up against is folks lying about her border record, calling her a border czar.
Kamala Harris, who was appointed as the border czar.
The Biden team didn't declare her the border czar. They wanted her to work on kind of the root causes of immigration.
There has been so much criticism against Kamala Harris. You know, she was the border czar.
Calling her sort of the border czar, which wasn't necessarily the case.
So the border, if they weren't planning to address it in a major way, do not make her your border czar. She met with some of the Northern Triangle countries, but nothing has effectively changed.
Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, there is all your good disinformation right there by the mainstream media. They're sitting up here lying to your face, saying that she's not the border czar. She was never appointed. And then all on those networks, they were saying that she was the border czar. Then Jonathan Capehart's up here talking about how she locked up parents, then saying she never locked up parents. Have y'all realized that we live in a day and time that our memories are very long because we have the video. We have access to video. This isn't the 1980s or 90s where y'all can get away with propaganda. That is literally propaganda. And this is the links they're going to try to help her win the election. See, she doesn't have any wins. If she had wins underneath her belt, she could just tout her policy wins and that would get her elected. Listen, when you are an incumbent, it's easier to get elected, especially when you got policy wins, because people want to see 4 more years of you. Why are you going this hard in the paint with disinformation? Why are you putting out propaganda? Just so you can fool the American people. Let's call it what it is. That in itself is election interference. It's election interference. It is. But people on social media are attacked all the time talking about you trying to voter suppression and election interference or putting out disinformation. So y'all going to go out there and tell them the same thing in this mainstream media, that they're practicing voter suppression, they're practicing election interference. And this is why people don't trust the mainstream media. This is why. This is why people like myself will be more trusted than those people on those networks. Because we're going to say what it is. If we say what somebody was 3 years ago, we'll say it today. You understand? Oppositions usually stay the same. And I'm not saying somebody can't get something wrong. I'm not saying I can't get something wrong. But if I get something wrong, I don't mind correcting it. Because, hey, I'm a human being, and I'm not right for every single thing that I say. I'm not doing it intentionally. But we say, hey, Phil, that wasn't right, and we fix that. But they're doing everything they can to get her elected, ladies and gentlemen. So my thing is, why the desperation? Why y'all so desperate? Why? They're desperate because they're just going to use her. She's going to literally be a puppet. She's not going to be running anything. I mean, think about it. She was selected. Y'all have to understand, if she gets the presidency, this will be the first time they actually openly selected somebody. They didn't even go through the process of doing any kind of primary. They will be selecting her. Now it came from the donor class and the top brass of the DNC. They installed her. They gave her the nomination. She wasn't voted in like that, right? She didn't have to run a campaign and everything to even get to the primary. She didn't have to do anything. She was literally given the position. But this is the person that some black people want to be the president. If you got to go through this much lying, if you got to go through this much disinformation and to try to deceive voters, then clearly that's not the right person for the job. Clearly it's not. Now, you're going to see more and more of this. This not it. This is not it. You're going to see more and more of this. Now, she's supposed to interview. Well, at the time you watch this, she already interviewed on CNN with Tim Walz, and I'm definitely going to watch that because we're filming this a few hours before that particular interview. But we definitely going to check it out as well and see if there's anything that we need to bring forth or anything in tone that we need to see or watch or know what's going on. But yeah, that's why we don't trust these people. When the mainstream media talk to you, double check and triple check it, because you don't know what they pushing that day. But these people are just straight lying to the American people, lying. That's why people like myself is always going to have a place to do our podcasts and news and anything else that we're doing. Because as long as these people are lying, shoot, you need some people at least trusted in your community that's out here willing to talk. Well, you let me know what y'all think about this. I mean, the straight up line, boy, that's just interesting to me how they lie like that. They have no integrity. They don't even say, well, let's go and watch our old tapes before we come out here with this narrative. But we know they wage propaganda campaigns all the time with the American people. Now they're just getting caught in real time.